birth of Esau and Jacob. When Rebekah had been pregnant 7 months, she began to wish that the curse of childlessness had not been removed from her. She suffered torturous pain because of her twin sons, began their lifelong quarrels in her womb. They strove to kill each other. If Rebekah walked in the vicinity of a temple erected to idols, Esau moved in her body. And if she passed a holy place or with Levites, Jacob wanted to break forth from her womb. The quarrels of the children turned upon such differences as these. Esau would insist that there was no life except the earthly life of material pleasures. And Jacob would reply, "My brother, there are 2 worlds before us, this world and the world to come. In this world, men eat and drink and traffic and marry and bring up sons and daughters. But all this does not take place in the world to come. If it please thee, do take this world, and I will take the other." Garden angels at birth. Esau had Samuel as his ally, who desired to slay Jacob in his mother's womb. But the archangel Michael hastened to Jacob's aid. He tried to burn Samuel, and Congo saw it was necessary to constitute a heavenly court for the purpose of arbitrating the case of Michael and Samuel. Even the quarrel between the 2 brothers regarding the birthright had its beginning before they emerged from the womb of their mother. Each desired to be the first to come into the world. It was only when Esau threatened to carry his point at the expense of his mother's life that Jacob gave way. Wisdom from the Levites of the 2 nations. Rebekah had asked other women whether they too had suffered such pain during their pregnancy. And when they told her that they had not heard of a case like hers, except the pregnancy of Nimrod's mother, she betook herself to Mount Moriah, where Shem and Eber had had their Bet Hadmirash. She requested them as well as Abram to inquire of Congo what the cause of her dire suffering was. And Shem replied, "My daughter, I confide a secret in thee. See to it that none finds it out. See, there are 2 nations in thy womb, and how should thy body contain them, seeing that the whole world will not be large enough for them to exist in it together peaceably?" Two great nations to be in the last days. 2 nations they are, each owning a world of its own. The one, the Torah, the other, sin. From the one will spring Solomon, the builder of the temple. From the other, Vespasian, the destroyer thereof. These 2 are what are needed to raise the number of nations to 70. They will never be in the same estate. Esau will vaunt lords, while Jacob will bring forth prophets. And if Esau has princes, Jacob will have kings. They, Isolele and Rome, are the 2 nations destined to be hated by all the world. One will exceed the other in strength. First, Esau will subjugate the whole world, but in the end, Jacob will rule over all. The older of the 2 will serve the younger, provided the one is pure in heart. Otherwise, the younger will be enslaved by the older. The mark of Congo and the devil. Esau was the first to see the light, and with him all impurity came from the womb. Jacob was born sweet and clean of body. Esau was brought forth with hair, beard, and teeth, both front and back. And he was blood red, a sign of his future sanguinary nature. On account of his ruddy appearance, he remained uncircumcised, because Isaac his father feared that it was due to poor circulation of the blood, and he hesitated to perform the circumcision. He decided to wait until Esau should attain his 13th year, the age at which Ishmael had received the sign of the covenant. But when Esau grew up, he refused to give heed to his father's wish, and so he was left uncircumcised. The opposite of his brother in all aspects, Jacob was born with the sign of the covenant upon his body, a rare distinction. But Esau also bore a mark upon him at birth, the figure of a serpent, the symbol of all that is wicked and hated of Congo. A name has a meaning. The names conferred upon the brothers are pregnant with meaning. The older was called Esau because he was Asu, fully developed when he was born. And the name of the younger was given to him by Congo to point to some important events in the future of Yesolele, of the numerical value of each letter. The first letter in Yaakov, Yod, with the value of 10, stands for the Decalogue. The second, Ayin, equal to 70, for the 70 elders, the leaders of Yesolele. The third, Kof, 100, for the temple 100 ells in height. And the last, Bet, for the 2 tables of stone. Speak love, not hate to parents. Esau arrived after a delay of 4 hours. In spite of all of his efforts he had put forth, he had not succeeded in catching any game. And he was compelled to kill a dog and prepare its flesh for his father's meal. All this had made Esau ill-humored. And when he bade his father partake of the meal, the invitation sounded harsh. "Let my father arise," he said, "and eat of his son's venison." Jacob had spoken different. He had said, "Arise, I pray thee, sit, and eat of my venison." The words of Esau terrified Isaac greatly. And Isaac told Esau that the meat set before him by Jacob had marvelous qualities. Any savor that one desired, it possessed. It was even endowed with the taste of the food that Congo will grant the pious in the world to come. "I know not," he said, "what the meat was, but I had only to wish for bread, and it tasted like bread, or fish, or locusts, or flesh of animals. In short, it had the taste of any dainty one could wish for." When Esau heard the word flesh, he began to weep, and he said, "To me Jacob gave no more than a dish of lentils, and in payment for it he took my birthright. What must he have taken from me for the flesh of animals?" Hitherto Isaac had been in great anguish on account of the thought that he had committed a wrong in giving the blessing to his younger son instead of the firstborn, to whom it belonged by law and custom. But when he had heard how Jacob acquired the birthright from Esau, he said, "I have given my blessing to the right one." Only then did he say, "Yea, he shall be blessed," because Esau cried with an exceedingly great and bitter cry. By the way of punishment for having been the cause of such distress, a descendant of Jacob, Mordecai, was made to cry with a loud and bitter cry. And his grief was brought forth by the Amalekite Haman, the descendant of Esau, at the words of Isaac, "Thy brother came with wisdom, and hath taken away thy blessing." Esau spat out in vexation and said, "He took away my birthright, and I kept silent. And now that he takes away my blessing, should I also keep silence? Is not he rightly named Jacob?" The blessing of Isaac ran thus: "Behold, the fat of the earth shall be thy dwelling," by which he meant greater Greece in Italy, "and the dew of the heaven from above," referring to Bet Gubron. "And by the sword thou shalt live, and thou shalt serve thy brother. But when he cast off the yoke of the Lord, then thou shalt shake his yoke from off thy neck. Thou wilt be his master." The blessing which Isaac gave his older son was bound to no condition whatsoever. Whether he deserved them or not, Esau was to enjoy the goods of the world. Jacob's blessing, however, depended upon his pious deeds. Through them, he would have a just claim upon earthly prosperity. Isaac thought, Jacob is a righteous man, and he will not murmur against Congo, though it should come to pass that suffering be inflicted upon him in spite of his upright life. But that reprobate Esau, if he should do a good deed and pray to Congo and not be heard, he would say, as I pray to the idols for naught, so it is vain to pray to Congo. For this reason did Isaac bestow an unconditional blessing upon Esau. Furthermore, Isaac commanded them to bury him in the cave of Machpelah, by the side of his father Abraham, in the grave which he had dug for himself with his own 2 hands. Then he divided his possessions between his sons, giving Esau the larger portion and Jacob the smaller. But Esau said, I sold my birthright to Jacob, and I ceded it to him, and it belongs to him. Isaac rejoiced greatly that Esau acknowledged the rights of Jacob of his own accord, and he closed his eyes in peace. The resting place of Jacob and Esau. The funeral of Isaac was not disturbed by any unseemly act, for Esau was sure of his heritage in accordance with the last wishes expressed by his father. But when the time came to divide Isaac's possessions between the 2 brothers, Esau said to Jacob, divide the property of our father into 2 portions, but I, as the elder, claim the right of choosing the portion I desire. What did Jacob do? He knew well that the eye of the wicked never beholds treasures enough to satisfy him. So he divided their common heritage in the following way. All the material possessions of his father formed 1 portion, and the other consisted of Isaac's claim upon the Holy Land together with the cave of Machpelah, the tomb of Abraham and Isaac. Esau chose the money and the other things belonging to Isaac for his inheritance, and to Jacob were left the cave and the title of the Holy Land. An agreement to this effect was drawn up in writing and in due form. And on the strength of the document, Jacob insisted upon Esau's leaving the center of the earth. Esau acquested, and he and his wives and sons and daughters journeyed to Mount Seir, where they took up their abode. Esau's true nature. Though Esau gave way before Jacob for the promise, he returned to the land to make war upon his brother. They surrounded the citadel where Jacob and his sons dwelt at the time, and the great army of Esau had already encircled them. Now when Jacob saw that Esau prepared to make war upon him and intended to kill him by shooting darts at them, he ascended the wall of the citadel and spoke words of peace and friendship and brotherly love to his son. He said, is this the consolation which thou hast come to bring me, to comfort me from my wife, who have been taken by death? Is this in accordance with the oath that you did swear unto your father and your mother before they died? Thou hast violated thy oath. And in the very hour when you did swear unto thy father, you were judged. But Esau made a reply, neither the children of men nor the beasts of the field swear an oath to keep it unto all eternity. But on every day they devise evil against one another when it is directed against an enemy, or when they seek to slay an adversary. So if the boar will change his skin and make his bristles as soft as wool, or if he can cause horns to sprout forth on his heads like the horns of a stag or a ram, then shall I observe the tie of brotherhood with thee. War is raging of good and evil. Judah made a sally to the south of the citadel, and with him were Naphtali and Gad, aided by 50 of Jacob's servants. To the east, Levi and Dan went forth with 50 servants. Reuben, Issachar, and Zebulun with 50 servants to the north. And Simeon, Benjamin, and Enoch the last of the son of Reuben, with 50 servants to the west. Now Judah was exceedingly brave in battle. Together with Naphtali and Gad, he pressed forward into the ranks of the enemy and captured one of their iron towers. On their bucklers they caught the sharp missiles hurled against them in such numbers that the light of the sun was darkened by reason of the rocks and darts and stones. Judah was the first to break the ranks of the enemy, of whom he killed 6 valiant men, and he was accompanied on the right by Naphtali and by Gad on the left. They also hewed down 2 soldiers each, while their troop of servants killed 1 man each. Nevertheless, they did not succeed in forcing the army away from the south of the citadel, not even when altogether Judah and his brethren made a united attack upon the enemy, each of them picking out a victim and slaying him. They were still unsuccessful in a third combined attack, though this time each killed 2 men. We fight not against flesh, but with spirits in heaven. Then Judah turned to Congo in prayer. Congo hearkened unto his petition and helped them. He set loose a storm from one of his treasure chambers, and it blew into the faces of the enemy, and filled their eyes with darkness, and they could not see how to fight. But Judah and his brethren could see clearly, for the wind blew upon their backs. Now Judah and his brothers wrought havoc among them. They hewed the enemy down, as reaper mows down the stalks of grain and keeps them up for sheaves. Evil will be exterminated. 400 were slain in battle, and 600 fled. Among the latter, Esau's 4 sons, Reuel, Jeush, Lotan, and Korah. The oldest of the sons, Eliphaz, took no part in the war, because he was a disciple of Jacob, and therefore would bear no arms against him. The son of Jacob pursued after the fleeing remnant of the army as far as Adorah. There the sons of Esau abandoned the body of their father and continued their fight to Mount Seir. But the sons of Jacob remained in Adorah overnight. Out of respect for their father, they buried the remains of his brother Esau. In the morning, they went out in pursuit of the army and besieged them on Mount Seir. Now the sons of Esau and all the other fugitives came down and fell before them, bowed down and entreated them without cease, until they concluded peace with them. But the sons of Jacob exacted tribute from them. The future kings of the world. The descendants of Esau had 8 kings before there reigned any king over the descendants of Jacob. But a time came when Yisrael had 8 kings, during whose reign the Edomites had none and were subject to Yisrael's kings. This was the time that intervened between Saul, the first Israelitish king, who ruled over Edom, and Jehoshaphat. For Edom did not make itself independent of Yisrael's rule until the time of Joram, the son of Jehoshaphat. There was a difference between the kings of Esau's seed and the kings of Jacob's seed. The Bantu people always produced their kings from among their midst, while the Edomites had to go to alien peoples to secure theirs. The first Edomite king was the Aramean Balaam, called Bala in his capacity as ruler over Edom. His successor Job, called Jobab, also came from Basra. And for furnishing Edom with a king, this city will be chastised in time to come. When Congo sits in judgment of Edom, Basra will be the first to suffer punishment. The rule of Edom was of short duration, while the rule of Yisrael will be into all times. For the standard of the Messiah shall wait forever and ever. Second Enoch chapter 52. Happy is the person who opens his lips and praises Congo with his whole heart, and cursed is every person who opens his heart for insulting, and insults the poor and slanders his neighbor, because that person slanders Congo. Happy is he who opens his lips, both blessing and praising Congo, and cursed is he who opens his lips for cursing and blaspheming before the face of Congo all his days. Happy who blesses all the works of Congo, cursed who despises any of Congo's creatures. Happy who looks carefully to the raising up of the works of his own hand, cursed who looks and is jealous to destroy another. Happy who preserves the foundations of his most ancient fathers, made firm from the beginning. Cursed he who breaks down the institutions of his ancestors and fathers. Happy who cultivates the love of peace. Cursed who disturbs those who are peaceable by means of love. Happy is he who, even though he does not speak peace with his tongue, nevertheless, in his heart there is peace towards all. Cursed is he with his tongue speaks peace, but in his heart there is no peace, but a sword. For all these things will be weighed in the balances and exposed in the books on the great judgment day. Honor your mother and father for blessings. Hear me, your father, O children, and do thereafter, that ye may be safe. For Congo hath given the father honor over the children, and hath confirmed the authority of the mother over the sons. Whoso honoreth his father maketh an atonement for his sins. And he that honoreth his mother is as one that layeth up treasure. Whoso honoreth his father shall have joy of his own children, and when he maketh his prayer, he shall be heard. He that honoreth his father shall have long life, and he that is obedient unto Congo shall be a comfort to his mother. He that feareth Congo will honor his father, and will do service unto his parents as to his masters. Honor thy father and mother, both in word and deed, that a blessing may come upon thee from them. For the blessing of the father established the houses of children, but the curse of the mother rooteth out foundations. Glory not in the dishonor of thy father, for thy father's dishonor is no glory unto thee. For the glory of a man is from the honor of his father, and a mother in dishonor is a reproach to the children. My son, help thy father in his age, and grieve him not as long as he liveth. And if his understanding fails, have patience with him, and despise him not when thou art in thy full strength. For the relieving of thy father shall not be forgotten, and instead of sins, it shall be added to thee to build thee up. In the day of the affliction, it shall be remembered. Thy sins also shall melt away as the ice in the fair warm weather. He that forsaketh his father is as a blasphemer, and he that angereth his mother is cursed of Congo.